Hey everybody, today is Tuesday, May 2nd. It's Jill Simonian with PragerU Kids. We are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, I believe. And if you are watching us live, give a wave, hello. I'm going to do my best to look at the comments and interact as we usually try to do here. But welcome to all of the parents, teachers, educators, grandparents who watch, who are invested and in the game, with skin in the game, to educate our children with knowledge during this time of what we like to say indoctrination happening in our schools, right? So we have a crazy headline again to launch a discussion about. Now, as all of you know, most of you know, I am a mom. My children were once in a public school. I have since pulled them, and now we are in a private Catholic school. And I'm also one of the personalities for PragerU Kids, for our Otto's Tales show, for our Craftery show, for a new upcoming show we have called Unboxed USA that will be debuting in summer. It's a show about states. So I am invested in all of the education news that is happening, and I love to discuss it with all of you. Tell me where you're from in the comments right now as I get into this discussion about equity versus equality. That is the big topic today. And these words are seemingly very similar, but as many already know, equity does not equal equality. And we know this. And if you know the difference, I want to hear it in the comments because I know we got smart viewers and listeners out there. So, what is equity in schools? Before we get into this headline about Vermont schools no longer using gendered terms like boy and girl, that is the headline. Before we get into this, I want to briefly say, what is equity in schools? Equity is a buzzword, and do not let it fool you because it is appearing all over the place in policy, in diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, you name it. School districts are talking equity, and they've turned this equity word into this huge, they're trying to fool all of us into thinking it's this wonderful thing. Equity is not equality. Equality, as we know, is giving everyone an equal chance to work hard, right? To give students a chance to perform, to deliver results according to the efforts and hard work that they put in. I mean, these are a foundational part of our values as Americans, right? You work hard. Everyone's got an equal chance to hit the ground running, nose to the grindstone, work hard, turn in your homework assignments in time, get that A+, right? Equal opportunity. That's equality. Equity, however, which is one of my least favorite words nowadays. Anyone who knows me knows that I cannot stand this word. Equity yields an intention to make sure that students learn and perform at the same level. Now, don't be tricked. That sounds wonderful. Yes, of course we want students at the same level, but it doesn't mean that you are accelerating students to advance them to learn at a similar or same higher level. It means ultimately what we have found is that we are dumbing down. We are dumbing down the standard. Equity can remove accelerated courses and opportunities in schools like math or science or any subject for that matter, as we're going to see with sex education in Vermont schools. Equity can also curb acceleration and competition, because if a group of students knows that they're ultimately all going to get the same grade, or they are, that the standards are lower, you think that group of students is going to try harder? No. Equity also aims to remove grades and test scores, because higher grades, they can make students who didn't study feel bad, right? Many of you have experienced this. A lot of people write into me telling me that this is happening in their school districts. And equity can even sometimes push a child who's struggling through to the next grade level for the next academic school year, because the school district does not want to make that child feel as though they are not as good as the other students should they not be ready to advance to the next grade level because they did not put the work in, or because maybe they have a learning issue that needs to be dealt with. Equity can do all of these things. There are countless examples across the country that we talk about frequently on our PragerU Instagram, on these discussions that I have here on behalf of PragerU Kids. So let's get into the headline now. Now that everyone's loaded up into either our Facebook Live or our YouTube, I'm going to say hello, and I just want to scroll and see if I can even find this video to say hello to all the people tuning in before we go on to this headline. Let's see, we got comments here. Sounds like affirmative action. Equity is a specter. Let's see. The left is normalizing this sickness. All right, here we go. Hi, everybody. Equity is essentially sameness of outcome. That's one of the comments. Yeah, we got it. So let's get into this headline right now. And we have it on the screen. This is from The Stream. Now, you've probably seen this headline making the rounds in the last few days because I found it on The Stream a few days ago. I think Fox News has recently picked it up. Person who produces sperm. And it's like, as a mother, I hate saying this stuff because I want to keep the language on the up and up. You know, everything on the internet lives forever. But this is the title I am reading from thestream.org. Person who produces sperm. Vermont School District will no longer use gendered terms in sex ed classes. What the heck does that mean, you ask? A Vermont school district is no longer using the terms male and female when teaching sexual education classes, according to a letter obtained by Parents Defending Education, PDE, which is a parental rights organization. And I know some of the organizers of PDE, wonderful people who are really collecting the most important underbelly of information happening in our school districts now, and they're sharing this so that we can all be aware and alert and stay engaged. So let's see. Founders Memorial School principal Sarah Jablonski notified families on April 20th that teachers will no longer be using gender-specific words such as male, female, boy, girl when teaching fifth grade health lessons that include puberty and the human reproductive system. And this is according to the letter obtained by PDE. Instead, teachers are now going to they've been allegedly directed to describe a man as a person who produces sperm and refer to a woman as a person who produces eggs. So I just want to, here's the article here. It's, if you're looking at it, it's on thestream.org. I want to click on this letter that PDE obtained because we like to see original sources here, right? So here is the letter. Parents Defending Education, defendinged.org. This is the letterhead of the school district, Essex Westford School District. Here is the article. Oh, here is the letter right here. So let's go ahead and click on the letter itself. Here we go. April 20th, 2023. Dear fifth grade families and caregivers, I'm reading the letter from Essex Westford School District dated on April 20th. This is a letter out to families and caregivers. It is time for our science health unit about the human body focused on puberty and the human reproductive systems. This unit will take place during the last few months of school, which essentially is now, as we are in May. We will focus on the physical and emotional changes that occur during puberty and briefly introduce the basic structure and function of human reproductive systems. Okay, fine. All on the up and up, right? I am not opposed to appropriate biology lessons about how human beings reproduce in schools. I am not opposed to that whatsoever. I think it's necessary. I think it's worthwhile, as long as, and I say this reasonably, as long as parents and educators stay within the boundaries and guardrails of truth in human biology and reproduction, right? Right. I'll continue. Students will be participating in whole group discussions and have private reflection time, okay? There will also be 3 interview opportunities coming home throughout the unit. So, in an effort to align our curriculum with our, sound the alarm, equity policy. In an effort to align our curriculum with our equity policy, highlight it right there, teachers will be using gender-inclusive language throughout this unit. Ha! With any differences, we strive to use person-first language, in quotation marks, as best practice. You will see examples of this below, and here are the examples that the FMS principle cites. Person who produces sperm in place of boy, male, and assigned male at birth. Person who produces eggs in place of girl, female, and assigned female at birth. This is literally the letter from the principal at Founders Memorial School, as shared on Parents Defending Education's website. This is equity policy in action. And school districts up and down and east to west in this country have now, I think, for the most part these last few years, fully implemented their diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, policies and initiatives within the school districts. And all of the most of these school districts, from personal experience and from also communication that I continue to get from our parents across the country, all of you, have said that their school districts are touting equity as this wonderful, inclusive thing that is just going to help everyone. And all of you who think, parents and reasonable teachers, by the way, have been accused of being paranoid and conspiracy theorists if they tend to be wary of policies involving equity that are implemented in their schools. We are not being overdramatic when it comes to being wary of equity policies in our schools. This is equity policy at work. The fact that school districts such as Essex Westford School District in Vermont is now citing in an official letter that equity policy is instructing teachers to use gender-inclusive language such as person who produces sperm in place of boy or male and person who produces eggs in place of girl, female in their reproductive sexual education classes for fifth graders is proof that we are not crazy. It is proof that equity policies are destructive. Am I yelling? Oh my goodness, I'm yelling. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be yelling at you because I know all of you watching and listening are reasonable. Most of you watching and listening are reasonable. Please weigh in with comments if you have them. If you happen to be in this particular school district and maybe have a fifth grader who is a part of this destructive type of education now, please weigh in. Please weigh in. I want to see your comments. I'm scrolling. Let's see. That's what our government wants. I'm reading comments here. That's what our government wants. They want all kids to be brainwashed and controllable. People, it's called socialism. I'm not going to disagree with you. By eliminating the terms boy and girl, this is from Katie, schools teach kids that some human beings can be neither. Think about that. This is anti-science, anti-reality. Thank you, Katie. I'm scrolling the comments here. This is Vance from Vance. It's just imperative for parents to teach what they believe without teaching hate. I believe this. Yes, Vance. It's a thin line between confusion and miseducation is all. Vance, I do agree with you. I do agree with you. We can feel as parents frustrated and angry about the abandonment of truth and reason and science in this case, in this particular school. We can feel all we want, but it is important to reinforce that we check ourselves when it comes to amplifying hate. I do agree with you, Vance, and I appreciate that comment very much so. In that regard, I want to share with you something kind of comical that I hope many of you will laugh at and get a kick out of like I did. Regarding the word equity. Before I changed my children's school a few years ago, my former public school district was in the process of implementing the DEI program, which, surprise, surprise, I was very much against as a parent. And there was a group of us parents who were really trying to sound the alarm about how destructive equity can be for the future if it is included as, one of our fundamental policies in the school district. And the assistant superintendent at the time I had an ongoing dialogue with her, and she knew my very uh, public concerns about what equity can actually do and the potential harmful effects of equity. And she sent me this picture. Now, this picture that I found, I literally Googled equity versus equality because I was looking for this picture online. And here we go, the source, Interaction Institute for Social Change. I do not know anything about this website, nor do I endorse it for obvious reasons. But here is the picture that I want to show you, that many proponents and supporters of equity have been putting out into the world, illustrating equality versus equity. So here we have this picture of equality, how everyone gets the equal size box, but this little guy can't see over the fence because he's not as tall as this guy. And oh, this is what equality does. No one can, no one can have an equal outcome of seeing the game here, versus what equity what they think equity does is that this guy on his own can see it. So yay, hooray, he can see it. This guy does just fine with the mid-size box. And then this little guy gets 2 boxes because he needs extra help and he should be able to see the game too. I agree that everyone should be able to see the game, right? Metaphorically. However, this is not a true depiction of what equality and equity does. As I discussed, equity wants to make sure that everyone ends up the same, which is fine, which, is their argument for equity being, fine and dandy. But this is the reality of what equity does. And I can't help but laugh at this. Can we see this? I hope we can see this on the screen. Here's one example of equality versus equity versus reality. Here we go. This is reality. When you start putting various policies in place, the reality is not that everyone gets an equal chance to participate or, in this case, metaphorically view the ball game. And here's another sample of reality. Equity in reality lowers the standards and cuts everyone off so that no one succeeds. This is the reality. For those of you who might be listening as opposed to watching, I have a picture here that has it's kind of gory actually, but it's a symbolic representation of equity not serving anyone, especially not serving the people who it claims it wants to help. So this is just sort of a fun cartoon that I actually sent back to my former assistant superintendent to prove that, no, I'm not buying this versus equity versus equality. Let me see. Any other comments about equity versus equality before I get into the brand new acronym that is making its way into many public schools and corporations for that matter? Let's see if there's any comments. Let's see. I'm scrolling. This comment from Kelly on our Facebook feed: I'm a mother, grandmother, educator, and mental health professional. Government policies, in quotes, have destroyed our culture. I don't disagree with you. Let's see. Katie, I love these lives, Jill. Thank you, Katie. She says we need more parents and grandparents to act. Go to the next school board meeting and tell the board what you think and what you want. Your school board is supposed to be working for you. It's supposed to be responsive to you. Excellent reminder, Katie. I can't reiterate that anymore. Okay. I'm scrolling we got some really good comments here. Here's a comment from Jerry. If equity means equity, then the use of boy and girl shouldn't be a problem any more than any other adjective that they are using to define gender, should it? Interesting point. Somebody wrote dumb. I don't disagree with you. Okay, so thank you for the comments. Moving right along, I want to discuss the new trend. We've got DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, that have taken our school districts by storm. But the new trend that I want everyone to be aware of, especially parents and good teachers out there, which you may have already had experience in dealing with this, but diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. There's another word tacked onto the back. Belonging. It's a pretty powerful word. I'm not going to lie. We all want to belong. All of our children want to belong. It's part of human nature to want to belong. Kids, students want to belong. We want to be a part of it. We know this. We know this. It's part of the human psyche. It's a human experience. We know this. So now the word belonging has been tacked on to the end of DEI as the latest trendy incarnation of the types of inclusive policies that our schools and corporations want to further. So I have literally Googled diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging just to see what comes up. This website, Academy to Innovate HR, came up. I don't know anything about this website. I literally clicked on it just to see what DEIB now means. And this is an outline of DEIB at organizations. So look at all of these charts and figures that people are coming up with. And I'm gonna guess to say that consultants who charge hundreds of thousands of dollars are coming up with to throw at corporations and school districts and demand that they become DEIB compliant for the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars so that you can have a safe school districts. Is this sounding familiar? Let's look at this diagram just so we are aware and informed. So we've got diversity, equity, and inclusion. We already talked about the poisons of equity. If you're just tuning in, rewind this video and see the little cartoons and commentary that I shared about what equity really is versus equality of opportunity. So we've got diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then there's another circle stuck right in the middle there. As though the overlapping of the three circles wasn't symbolic enough, we've got belonging, because belonging cuts to the gut of what every human being wants, and that is to be accepted by peers, and especially it preys on children's need and desire to be accepted by peers, and frankly accepted by adults as well, because our children do want to be accepted and praised by adults. So now this DEIB trend has stuck the word belonging in there. And here we go, the definition: feeling accepted as members of a group, valued and connected with the company. I'm going to go ahead and replace that word company with schools, because we know that this is coming down the pike if it hasn't already at your school district. So we have these things. Look at DEI as the base to build on, focus on purpose, be accountable, truly include your gig workers, lead by example. These are all guidelines that are now being pushed as something more that corporations and schools need to comply with. Now, my question as just a regular mom raising kids is, why do we need all this stuff? Why do we need all these diagrams and colors and definitions and language reinvention? Go to the school board, and I'm a big proponent of this. Go to your school board and say, I have a solution. I understand that we want inclusion and belonging, and we want people to feel respected. Here's the solution, and talk really, really quietly and say the solution is to teach the golden rule. And the light bulbs go off. And everyone in the room, if you're living in a left-leaning community like I happen to be in, they don't even know what the golden rule is. They don't even know that there has been a rule that has existed for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, thousands of years that says, treat one another as you would like to be treated. That's the solution. Done, done, done. It's done. Treat each other as you would like to be treated. End of story. We have zero tolerance for hate, harassment, or bullying at school. You do those things, there are consequences. End of story. That's the solution. We don't need to spend our tax-paying dollars on consultants who charge hundreds of thousands from us and suck our school districts dry so that they can come in with diagrams like DEIB and shame everyone and then get paid for it and ultimately lead to more problems in the community. Share your stories if you've had consultants. I'm curious. And if you're sharing them even just to vent, share them. But most importantly, continue to speak up in the school districts and at the school board meetings. So my solution to this is, again, continue speaking up. But the other thing that really bothers me as a mom is that all of these diagrams, all of these initiatives, all of these DEIB, this, that, the other, they're all taking up valuable class time away from our students to learn real knowledge and real life skills that are going to help them function as members of our society in the future. And the reason why we started PragerU Kids is because our children are not learning knowledge, and our standards for academics are now being replaced with the sort of indoctrination and harm and destruction that equity brings to school districts when it is implemented, as we saw with the Vermont School District, taking away the words boys and girls in the name of equity, right? So we have the solution, another solution for you. Many of you know, if you don't know already, subscribe for free at pragerukids.com to teach our kids knowledge, because our schools are no longer focused on teaching kids knowledge. They're no longer focused on using those precious class time minutes that are allotted each day to teach kids academic knowledge, to make them productive citizens. They're throwing garbage at them in the form of equity and DEIB. So pragerukids.com, subscribe for free. I want to share with you one of our latest episode releases that actually teaches a really great life skill that I probably need many refreshers on. And I'm going to scroll. Here we go. If you go to pragerukids.com, this is what our page looks like. You can scroll down. These are our shows lined up. I'm going to scroll through and take you to our latest episode of Cash Course. And this is such a fun show. And Cash Course is a show about financial literacy. When was the last time any one of our high school or middle school students had actual instruction about how money works? It doesn't happen in schools anymore. And it's tragic. It's terrible. So here's our show, Cash Course. I'm going to scroll. You can see the episodes we have now. We've got Understanding Taxes. Understanding taxes. I still need work on that, frankly. Holler if you still need understanding taxes help. We've got pay stubs, we've got investing, and our latest release from last week was checking and savings accounts, right? Practical, applicable life skills on pragerukids.com for free. Let's just take a click at this video just to give you a little sample of the kinds of knowledge and life skills that we're aiming to teach our kids. Here we go, Cash Course.
Did you know 95% of U.S. households put their money into accounts at banks or credit unions? These checking and savings accounts are supposed to make managing your money convenient, protect it from theft and damage, and prevent it from getting lost.
Checking and savings. What's the difference?
A checking account is a transactional account. This means you can deposit money into it and withdraw cash from it, generally without any limitations. People use checking accounts to cover everyday expenses and purchases and to pay their bills.
There you go. All right, most of you here, I hope, know what a checking account is, but that's just a little example of the types of shows that we make at PragerU Kids. Practical, applicable knowledge that kids can actually use into adulthood in a fun way. Like we say, we like to give kids the broccoli, nutrition for the brain, the knowledge, but we like to put cheese and sour cream and crunchy croutons and all the good stuff on top so that the kids actually eat it, so that they get the nutrients with the fun stuff. So these are the types of shows we do. Full confession, I have never been, I don't want to say interested, but learning about money has never resonated with me. And that's terrible to say as an adult, but I'm admitting it. But if I had something like this to watch as a teenager, I would have watched it and I would have learned because it's fun. And it actually really does teach kids things. I myself, like I said, have learned a lot. pragerukids.com, subscribe for free. This is just our latest episode. Again, the show's name is called Cash Course, and it's what we are making for the betterment of our country. Because if we do not teach our kids knowledge, if we do not teach them how our American system works, if we do not teach them an appreciation of this country and the rights that we have as Americans, we are not going to have a country left. And all of you know that, and we appreciate all of you. We are so thankful for all of you who support us, because we cannot make these shows that we do on PragerUKids.com without you. All of you know we are 501c3. We are totally dependent on donations, and we cannot do any of this without you, our very generous supporters, and we thank you for that. I'm going to scroll and see a few more comments, and then I'm going to say goodbye, but I hope we got a little bit of a refresher about what equity versus equality means. I hope that the recent example of what is happening in one of the school districts in Vermont regarding how they are applying their equity policy to remove the words boy, girl, male, female from a biological reproductive sex ed health class. I hope that you know, lights a light bulb and really reveals how destructive equity policies can be in practice. So anyhow, let's see. I'm scrolling. Oh my goodness. I have to read this comment. Richard, thank you. By the way, this is Richard's comment. By the way, thank you so much for Otto's Tales. We watch it every week, and my kids look forward to watching. Thank you so much. You must have youngsters who watch Otto's Tales, our story time show about values, honesty, hard work. Our latest series is called Let's Visit, and it's our story time show. Let's visit Mount Rushmore. Let's visit the Statue of Liberty. Let's visit an American farm. It's our story time show that is aligned with our hard copy books that you can get on Amazon or through our website, and it's for kindergarten through second graders, although I will confess my 5th and 6th grader love Otto's Tales. Maybe it's because I'm the storyteller and they like watching Mom. But anyhow, thank you to all of you who support us at PragerUKids.com. Please subscribe for free. We can't do this without you. And we thank you for always staying informed and engaged and on top of what is happening in our children's education system. Be brave, speak up. I will see you next time. Always send me comments or questions. I'm happy to answer them, but see you next time. Bye.